Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. This is our morning get-together live here on Facebook, where we examine headlines from our local papers, the state papers, the country papers, and we take a look at your comments, ideas, and suggestions on how we can have a very, very, very wonderful life here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English-speaking locals. Today is Thursday, July 8th. I'm no longer feeling feisty. I am now feeling tired, but that's okay because, shit happens. What can I tell you? We have a lot of news today, and we have a lot of commentary along with the news. Somehow I'm feeling a little bit on the cynical side because news are frustrating. But there are good news today. There are at least a couple of pieces of good news. Well, there's one, definitely one. Or at least one feel-good story. What can I tell you? This week has been so crazy. My name is Paco. If you are new to our broadcast, please let us know by writing the word new in your comments, and we'll get to your comments when we get to the second half of the broadcast. Also, if you have something truly important that you wish to share with us, and I'm reading a bunch of messages already. Thank you very much. We'll get to your messages in the second half of the program. But if you have something truly important, we don't want to miss it. So please add the letter Q at the beginning of your comment, and we will try our best to not miss it during the broadcast. If we do, we will get to it afterwards. We are today sailing courtesy of my Telcel account, so we know everything could happen. So hopefully we won't get disconnected. Hopefully we'll get through half an hour of solid connection and half an hour of meaningful connection. So let's go. Let's do it. Yes, Virginia, we are in a third wave. Just in case you were wondering, as stated by Health Undersecretary Hugo Lopez-Gatell, Mexico has entered a third wave in the COVID-19 pandemic. Mexico President Andrés Manuel López Obrador continues to somewhat underplay the situation by emphasizing the number of people that are getting vaccinated. But unfortunately, it is the youngest population that has been singled out as the primary source of the increase in COVID cases in the country. One could argue that this group of people hasn't had access to the vaccine yet, but if that is the case, what are they doing out partying at nightclubs and bars without their face masks on in the first place? The Secretary of Health also has confirmed that Mexico reported 8,507 new COVID cases just in the day of just yesterday, just on our hump day. And this number is a higher number of daily cases that were reported back on February 25th, when 8,462 cases were reported. Now, personally, I don't remember where I was or what I did 3 days ago, but I do remember that things looked pretty grim back in February. Closer to home, while Jalisco health authorities determined not to introduce new restrictions at this time, given the current increase of cases here in Puerto Vallarta, in Puerto Vallarta and the rest of the state of Jalisco, but primarily in Puerto Vallarta, Governor Alfaro did meet with representatives of the nightlife business sector and mayors from all municipalities in the state. After the meeting took place, Cesar Garcia, who represents the Bars, Discos, and Entertainment Center Council for the state, who knew there was such a thing, indicated that inspections would increase in local bars and venues. This, of course, I'll believe it when I see it. Then again, I won't see it because I don't go to bars and venues for that matter. Again, I cannot understand what young people are doing at bars and venues when they are not supposed to be there. And I don't understand why local bars and venues turn their blind eye, but don't get me started. Do you sense a little bit of cynicism in today's news? It's my birthday. Sergio Jaime Santos, president of the local Canarac, a restaurant association, and who was also present at the meeting we just mentioned, indicated that the organization, Canarac, the restaurant association, is calling for all restaurant owners to send their employees to get vaccinated. Well, in case you didn't know and you are a local business owner, by law, you must allow your staff to get vaccinated. And if you're an employee here in Puerto Vallarta, in Mexico, anywhere, you, by law, have the right to go get vaccinated whenever you can and whenever it's convenient to you. Food for thought. We also learned that 1 million Sino is what I have problems with. 1 million Sinovac vaccines arrived in Mexico City from Beijing, bringing the total number of their vaccines to 10 million doses received in Mexico. Of course, no information is provided as yet as to where they will be distributed. Here's something that sounded important to me, and I think it is very important. Again, I'm not very well versed in this, but Mexico's Supreme Court has declared unconstitutional to impede a rape victim from getting an abortion after the first trimester in the state of Chiapas. Again, this is a state decision, or rather a decision for one of Mexico's states. I'm not sure where this law stands elsewhere in the country. And for that matter, I'm not sure that I know much of, actually, I'm sure I don't know much about abortion law in Mexico. But I think this is very, very important. This particular situation stems from the fact that a woman whose underage daughter with cerebral palsy was raped back in 2018, and the daughter was denied an abortion at a hospital in the city of Tapachula because the request happened after the first trimester, which is the amount of time during which the law allows you to get an abortion. Now, this is how pandemics happen. So 500 students graduated from school in the state of Puebla, and what did they do? Well, they went on a celebratory vacation to Cancun to celebrate. 500 students. We've just graduated. Let's go to Cancun to party. Upon return, of those 500 students, only 50 have gone to pursue a COVID-19 test. But guess what? 37 of the 500 students came back with COVID-19. You'd think that parents would send their children or their teenagers to go get tested when this news becomes available. But it hasn't happened. And this is how pandemics happen. Health authorities are alerting of a potential massive spread of cases in the state of Puebla and are urging parents to send their kids to get tested. Of course, this makes the Miss Mexico pageant fiasco that we reported a couple of days ago seem like a walk in the park, but don't get me started on that either. And of course, there has been no further statement released from the Miss Mexico organization after they decided to continue with their pageant with the prior knowledge that some of the contestants had tested positive for COVID. Now, here's an interesting twist. Mexico President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has requested an audit of the 3 past municipal administrations here in Puerto Vallarta, or the past 9 years. We recall that Puerto Vallarta has been under the leadership of the Movimiento Ciudadano for this period, first under former Mayor Ramon Guerrero between 2012 and 2015, and then for two administrations with Arturo Dávalos between 2015 and 2021. The audit is expected to take place between 6 and 12 months. Now, we know that President Lopez Obrador, has been very keen on going back to past administrations. He has this popular vote exercise coming up, whether to determine whether we feel our presidents or former presidents should be tried for their crimes. So I find it rather interesting that Lopez Obrador has singled out the municipality of Puerto Vallarta in having an audit of the three last mayors we've had here in the city. Now, isn't that special? Or isn't that interesting, actually? Oh, one more. Local hotels are expecting 75% occupation during the upcoming vacation period, the summer vacation. And if you ask me, just as I said yesterday, the thought of hearing about 70% of people going to hotels, or however many people go to hotels, coming to Puerto Vallarta in the middle of a third wave of a pandemic just sounds like I am going to stay home and just leave my house as little as possible. Seriously, friends, let us take care of ourselves. Let us take care of wearing our face masks. Let us take care of making sure that we follow the guidelines. It's the only thing we can do in this particularly colorful summer that we are enjoying. Now let's turn to the weather, which I haven't even turned on. Let's see. Snarky weather, are you here? Going once? Ah, there it is. Snarky Weather says, you may know me as Carrot, but to the Time Variance Authority, I'm just another Loki variant. I love it. I need to get caught up with all my Loki, Loki, L-O-K-I. You know what I'm talking about, the series and Marvel, the television stuff. But I've been so occupied with my connectivity woes, I have no idea what's happening in the world. But I can tell you, we are now enjoying 27 degrees here in Puerto Vallarta. We have a 94% humidity going on. It feels like 33 degrees, and our temperature in Fahrenheit is 81. Today, on this beautiful Thursday, we can expect rain and humidity through the day with a high temperature of 30, a low temperature of 24. Tomorrow will be humid and mostly cloudy with a high temperature of 31, low temperature of 24. And on Saturday, we can expect possible light rain in the evening with a high temperature of 31 and a low temperature of 23. And that is the weather forecast for the next few days. I do have a few leisurely or interesting news to share with you during the next portion of the program and before we get to your comments and the chit-chat section. We've spoken in the past, we've talked in the past about Pueblos Mágicos, these towns throughout Mexico that get this special magical town designation and are supposed to be really great destinations for us to visit and explore. But what happens when a town says, thank you, but no thank you? What happens when a town doesn't want to be a Pueblo Mágico? Well, this is exactly what is happening with the town of Cisal, which is in the state of Yucatan, if I am not mistaken. The town of Cisal has threatened to not let people into their town because they have been designated Pueblo Mágico, or a magical town. Now, why would a town do this? Well, again, not being an expert and having just learned this during the morning, I come to realize that once you become, you have access to federal funds depending on the classification of city that you have. You can be a little town in the middle of nowhere, you can be a pueblo, you can be a this, a that, and the other, and so forth and so on. And once you become a Pueblo Mágico, it is assumed that so many people are going to come and explore your town that you may not necessarily need to apply for federal funds for support. So what happens in this particular town is that they're like, well, we don't want the the name because we don't have the infrastructure to receive people. We don't have the infrastructure to receive people. We don't have hotels. We don't have restaurants. And we don't want people coming from elsewhere to start businesses and preventing us from make our own livelihood as we would like to. So they are actually asking to be reverted back to the category of villa or villa or small town. In this case, a villa is not a swanky home like those in Conchas Chinas. A villa is a small town, and by them being classified as a villa, they can have access to federal funding. How interesting is that, don't you think? And here we are. We see another headline of the inhabitants of this small town called Sisal. They are blocking the access to the town. They don't want people to go into the town thinking that they're going to go into this Pueblo Mágico place because there's nothing there, apparently, or there's not enough there to see. So there you have it. Being a Pueblo Mágico apparently is not the best thing that can happen to you in this country of ours, this country we call Mexico. Oh, and I found a very interesting article of why Mexico is called Mexico. And I'm going to save that for another day because we have a ton of things to talk about today. I next wish to share with you rather a series of postcards that the Grupo Folclórico Vallarta Azteca has sent from Russia. You may recall that this local dance troupe was invited to go to Russia and represent our city and our country in Russia in a special competition. There is a headline of a Russian newspaper, and there are our local dancers. How much I would enjoy to connect with one of the dancers of this dance troupe when they return so that we can get a personal account of how things went over there. Wouldn't that be lovely? I'll see what we can do. I certainly would love to have a conversation with one of them. Two more headlines. The first one has nothing to do with actually both of them have nothing to do with Puerto Vallarta, but I wish to share them anyway. The first one has to do with the fact that I'm a sucker for a well-researched, well-written, well-articulated, investigative article, and I found such a thing this morning. It was so good that I read the whole thing from top to bottom, and this made me late getting ready for coffee and headlines, even though I seem like I'm prepared. I am actually not prepared. What am I talking about? It's this great article I found on Vox. Whitney Houston, American Girl, Why America Embraced Whitney Houston and How It Destroyed Her. It is beautifully written, beautifully researched. It is in English, and I'm going to, of course, leave it for you to enjoy with the show notes in case you care to pursue the article. And the last one, we've touched base recently on class distinction and class discrimination in Mexico, and it's such a complicated topic and so loaded, and it's difficult to explain to people that are not from Mexico or that are not living here on a continuous basis. But it is very real, and there is this image that I'm going to share with you that I saw on the paper, and the image went viral. Apparently, in some school, in some city in Saltillo, it was in Saltillo, in the state of Coahuila, there was a graduation going on, and there was a parade organized for the students in which the parents of the kids adorned their cars with balloons and other ornaments and stuff like that. So they made their own little carnival parade. And so you see a lot of fancy cars and so forth and so on. But what was the vehicle that went viral? What was the photograph that went viral? It's this photograph of a father that is walking his working tricycle. I don't know what to call those in English, but you know how there are these bicycles that have three wheels that have a transportation area in the front. And this is the father's vehicle. Other parents showed up with their fancy cars and with fancier ornaments. This father had all the dignity and all the pride of a Mexican father, and he is walking his tricycle in this parade. And just looking at the photograph makes me all upset, but in a good way at because it's a great snapshot of the reality of our life in Mexico. But the love that this father is showing his daughter by doing this, it just made my day, and I think that is my favorite bit of news to share with you today. And with that, let us take a look at some of your comments. Um, and there's plenty of them today. Thank you so very much for all the birthday wishes. I wish to acknowledge every single one of them, but of course, we'd be here for quite some time. But I'm very, very grateful. I will single out my beloved older sister, who called me this morning, and I told her, "Sister, I'm busy. I gotta put together a broadcast." Muchas gracias, Mari. Love you, and thank you so very much for all of you who are. Wishing me a good birthday. I'm going to spend my birthday cleaning the house. You will notice that the dead television behind me is gone because it's not going to get repaired because they cannot find the part. I'm finally putting it out on the street, or rather, I need somebody to help me put it out on the street. But I don't want it anymore. It was just sort of sitting there. It was a piece of metal that was very useful and wonderful for some time. But I've been without a TV for over a year now, and I'm tired of seeing that damn thing in the back of the broadcast every single day. So last night I stayed up till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning getting rid of things. Does anybody need a Blu-ray player? I have a ton of Blu-ray movies in a Blu-ray player that I don't use anymore. You know, I stream movies now. So if anybody knows of anybody that needs a Blu-ray player and a bunch of Blu-ray movies, just send me a message and you can have it. You know, I don't need it. I don't want to see it in my apartment anymore. Let's continue with your comments. Let's see. Let's see. Many, many happy birthdays. Thank you so much, you guys. It's such a pleasure to have a little birthday party with you guys this morning. It means so much to me. It really does. Um, wasn't the rain nice? The rain is always nice. Yeah, I love the rain, and if it rained, I actually didn't notice, but I did notice that the ground was damp this morning. Um, Angelo, I just wish I had a candle to blow. You're such a flirt. I love it. Thank you for the birthday wishes. No candles to blow today, but I will bend over for the Telmex guy if he actually shows up between 12 and 2 and actually fixes my connection. They promised solemnly that they would be here between 12 and 2. I'm not going anywhere. So I'm spending my day cleaning the house, making pot brownies, and waiting for the Telmex guy. How's that for a Puerto Vallarta lifestyle? It is what it is. Let's see what else. Uh, uh, Logan, if you don't come back soon, I may actually just melt. Period. Come back from Hawaii now. I miss you. Um, let's see. Let's buy Paco a birthday coffee. Maybe, Bronica. I actually have a special mission for everyone, and I'm going to be posting about this on the Facebook page later on today. And in fact, I may actually get around to posting this in the show notes. We have a dear friend who is a member of our cluster, who is a good friend of mine, who, because of health conditions, can no longer continue to foster a huge number of cats that she has been fostering in her home. And I'm going to ask for your help in helping me spread the word that there are, I forget, but I know that it's more than 30 cats that desperately need to find a home here in Puerto Vallarta or elsewhere. So buy me coffee if you want. I would appreciate that. But more importantly, if I can ask of you the gift of sharing this fact when I publish it on Facebook, that'll be the best birthday present you can give me today. We are all about community, and when a friend of ours from our community needs help, the least we can do is reach out and lend a helping hand. So if we can all share this notice that I'm going to post on the Facebook page today, if we can all share this among our friends and associates, then we will be true. We will be true to what Coffee and Headlines is all about being a strong community of locals connecting with other locals. That's my wish, and that's the favor I wish to ask of you today. Let's see. Oh my goodness, our friend Noi is joining us from Bangkok. Hello, Pitote. It's good to see you. Um, Angelica thinks that maybe the past three administrations have been very corrupt, like usual. Oh, girl, don't get me started. I just think it's interesting that this exercise is going to go. It's going to happen, and I wonder what kind of consequences it will have. Of course, we have changed parties in Puerto Vallarta, and a new mayor comes into effect shortly in a few weeks, and we will have to see how things change moving forward. Um, but I had a meeting at a building, 105, I believe it's called, with a friend of mine, and my friend of mine said to me, "Oh, what a beautiful building!" And I said to her, "Well, do you know that this building was built over a street, thanks to a permit given by a Puerto Vallarta mayor during the last week of his administration?" And that is how our mayors pocket their money, or one of the many different ways. But don't get me started. That's a long and complicated story as well. Jeannie would love to hear from the dancers about their experience. That makes at least two of us, Jeannie. I'm truly curious. And of course, we need to be supportive and respectful of these kids. I'm sorry, I don't use kid here in a negative connotation, but they're young. And to be invited to the other side of the world because of what you do, I think it's just beautiful. Let's see what else we have. Jorge says, "Oh, the father in the bicycle. It made me cry. It really made me cry and made me just very happy." Happy birthday, Paco. Enjoy your puff wine and crochet. I will, although it may not be in that particular order. It might actually be in different orders, but I most certainly will. Thank you very much. Um, the best picture so far this year, a proud father and his bicycle, says my sister. Yes, very, very beautiful. Um, let's see. Purging clutter out of your life is the best therapy. Out with the old, in with the new. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Paco bending over for my connection. Oh, honey, it's a walk in the park. It's a walk in the park. I mean, a lot of men think that being a bottom in gay sex is hurtful or painful and stuff like that. It's a walk in the park compared to having to squirt 20 cc's of distilled water up your nose 3 times a day when you have sinus problems, as I do. So, bending over for the Telmex guy, no problem. Just give me my Telmex back. Let's see what else. Kathleen says, with our experience for Telmex, you have to make several appointments and have to go in again. Oh, that's okay. I am just ready to continue doing my little civil acts of disobedience until they hate me. Matthew says that the good people of Sisal are a bit short-sighted. Maybe, maybe not. I don't live there, and I don't have all the facts, so I don't have the authority to comment one way or another. All I can do is provide a little bit of information so that hopefully we will become curious about whether this is fair or unfair or right or wrong, but it is what it is. Let's see what else we have. Another person is interested. Thank you, Kathleen, is also interested in hearing more about the dancers. And we are going to certainly try to pursue that once they come back. I'm not sure that we can find a friend of a friend of a friend that knows one of the dancers. And this, my dear friends, brings us to the end of today's Coffee and Headlines. As always, it is a pleasure to connect with you by Telcel, by Telmex, in whatever way, shape, or form is possible, by bumping into you on the street. It is such a pleasure to have this community to share the positive, the not so positive, to share things that help us think, that inspire us, that helps us become more informed and more grounded Puerto Vallarta full-time English-speaking residents. As always, I wish you good health, stay happy, stay kind, eat tacos, stay in touch, and have an awesome day. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.